starting our tour at Moon Valley, and here we can see the sandstone. Moon Valley is a sandstone formation. Here we can see a little bit of the formation of the Moon Valley, and you can understand why is it called Moon Valley. It's because of the erosion of these formations that create these towers, amazing towers. From there, the view of the ridge of La Paz is amazing. Over there, you can see the Devil's Tooth or La Muela del Diablo and all the ridge over there. That is really cool for trekking or hikers. Then the city. That particular day, we had altocumulus clouds, which indicates storm, but we didn't have any. Over there, for instance, you can see the amazing Moon Valley, the entrance of Moon Valley. So it's a really nice place to see if you would like to visit. Then we went to Jaén Street, one of the colonial streets of La Paz, the best restored colonial street that we still have. In the Spanish times, the houses were like that. The balconies were made of wood. The streets were really narrow, and it was as good as you're seeing in here. Here's the house of a marquis in the Spanish times. Now is a museum of ethnography and folklore. Here we are at the Murillo Square, our main square of La Paz. Here's the Congress, the Executive Palace, and the main square, the 0 kilometer of Bolivia, actually. And in here we're seeing the witches market, the doctor witches market, in which we're seeing basically that the llama fetus, the arrangements and the offerings for Pachamama. There we see the Equeco, for instance, the Equeco, which is the god of abundance in here in La Paz and in Bolivia. And these more than witches are doctors. So all the amulets and everything is basically Andean medicine, we can understand it. Is there a different, complete different approach? There's amuletos.
Pachamama, akawisit katok tanyani, kumaray kita ta Santiago, Ayachuta, Papenita, Sonajita, Chinchillata, Coquillot, Cotita, Santo Camino, Santo Pay, Kailaro, que Culicaro, Marcap Camsum Compañía. Huayna Chimpora, Oquichimpora, Capilla, Choquela, Hip, Quilima, Iyampo, Tacura, Jotilla, Ochumachi, Yacaicani, Ilima.
What we are seeing in here is a representation of Andean Aymara ceremony performed by Callawaya and Yatiri. Now, there is a big difference between a Callawaya and a Yatiri. A Callawaya is basically a doctor. A Yatiri is like a person who can predict the future based on of reading coca leaves, like you're seeing now. The person in here, the Yatiri, is reading the coca leaves and trying to see the future of someone. It depends on the question. There's a lot of syncretism in here because if you see there's a crucifix. The next day, we met the Fermin Limachi of the Limachi family, the Totora Reed builders. It was a true honor to meet him. These guys have worked with Thor Heyerdahl in their expeditions and with Dominic Gorlitz. Their expertise in building Totora Reed boats. After, we took the car to go in a boat towards what it is the Moon Island. At Moon Island, where the most interesting thing that we can see is the village, the small village, and of course the archaeological site of Iñak or ajllawasi. There, for instance, we can see the Inca wall that exists in this place, and of course the ajllawasi or Iñak Ajllawasi or Iñak it means the house of the chosen ones. Who were the chosen ones? Was the woman, the Ñustas, the woman of the Inca. In the Inca times, these places were sacred. In here, the women were taught different things to perform, to do. Handicrafts, weaving, netting. In here, what we are seeing is basically the remainings of the archaeological site. There's a book of Brian Bauer that describes this place. It had 2 floors two levels in which you can see the main entrance of the higher floor, and I'm filming from the lower floor, and outside it was the patio from which we can see a little bit of the Andes. That wall that you see over there is original. All the walls were original, as you can see. When the first archaeologists arrived here, it was like in the conditions that you're seeing now. The walls kind of destroyed. Many of these rocks were taken to build a jail that existed in this island back in the mid years, mid decades of the past century. So something that calls our attention is the Andean cross that it decorates all the walls in this temple, and also the trapezoidal symbol of the Incas. What's the explanation of that? Which is because the Incas used the workers that belong to the remainings of the Tiwanaku culture. So that explains the mixture, the syncretism between Tiwanakus and Incas. There's three temples of this kind in all the Inca Empire. This one in Moon Island, the other one is in Cajamarca, and the other one is close to Cusco. The three of them, they had the same purpose. It was like a convent of women. There you can see the Andean cross in three dimensions, which is something unique in this temple. That is, this symbol, we can see the symbol in each one of the walls in this temple. And as you can see, it's a complex of rooms basically, which it was dedicated entirely to the moon. In this island and in this temple, only women used to live. According to Brian Bauer, there was a big statue in one of the rooms with the real size woman made of gold, and those were the main entrances to the complex of rooms in which the first archaeologists they found ropes, remainings of the doors that existed, and the decoration was like you're seeing. It is being reconstructed and restored, of course, but when it was original, it was like that. The entire island is covered in terraces of agriculture, something really, really Inca. And in this patio was in which the ladies used to perform, used to practice different forms of art, knitting, weaving. Something that calls our attention is that one of the walls we can see is the typical Inca-shaped rocks that are characterized for those shapes. They fit perfectly, but they are not 90 degrees. So the Incas they didn't used to build blocks of 90 degrees as Tiwanaku. Also, we found some sandstone with some fossils. After that, we went to Sun Island to see first the Pilcocaina temple. What you're seeing now is the Pilcocaina temple, a temple that has been reconstructed, but it was the main temple of the southern part of Sun Island, dedicated. Over there you can see, for instance, the main entrance and the Tiwanaku symbol, and also mixed with the trapezoidal symbol is the same thing, the same premise that is Moon Island. Incas using Tiwanaku people to build this kind of temples and showing some syncretism between Tiwanaku and Incas. And basically in Sun Island, everything was about the pilgrimage of people going to the northern side of the Sun Island. That's Moon Island. Some cumulus, we see some cumulus clouds. About the pilgrimage, of course, the Incas were really dedicated to create a religion, a cohesive religion that united the entire empire. So that was the premise. They created the legend about the sun, about the worshipping the sun, the god sun, Inti, because they knew that religion is a good cohesive system in order to have a really, really strong empire. So we started the walk of the Inca Trail. This trail takes us to the northern side, and that was it, a little bit of Sun Island.